Hello once again, grade 5. We are now at the last module of book number 1 of Mathematics 5. Of course, our module number 8 is divided into two parts. This first part will be for lesson number 1 and lesson number 2 only, and a portion of lesson number 3. And of course, I will be making also part 2 of this video tutorial lesson for module 8, which will cover lesson 3 and lesson 4 of this module 8. So this time, stay tuned for module number 8, lesson number 1, and lesson number 2. And of course, the topic is about adding and subtracting fractions and mixed fractions. And our module number 8 is about adding and subtracting fractions and mixed fractions. To start our lesson, I want you to take out your math notebook and answer the review activity that is being shown here on the board. Kindly get your notebook and answer this activity. Let us now answer your first activity, which is the review activity. We are asked here to add and to subtract fractions. Of course, in adding and subtracting fractions, let us always take note that in adding or subtracting fractions, we will just copy the common denominator and add the numerator. If you notice here in our examples for addition of fractions, number 1 here, 3/9, 1/9, and 4/9, they all have the same denominators. These fractions are what we call similar fractions. Also in number 2, the denominator is 8 and 8. They are also similar fractions. 10 and 10, so 8 and 9/10 and 7/10 are also similar fractions. If 2 or more fractions have the same denominators, then they are similar fractions. And it is just easy to add or to subtract similar fractions. All you have to do is to copy their common denominators. When we say common, pare-pareho po silang denominators. Denominator here, 9, 9, 9. Therefore, you copy 9 as denominator for our sum. Of course, you copy the common denominator, which is 9. Then you will add the numerator. So 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 4 is 8. Therefore, the answer for number 1 is 8/9. For item number 2, we have the same denominator 8, so you also have to copy 8. Once again, copy the common denominator and add the numerator. So, you will add 5 and 7, which is equal to 12. However, for item number 2 here, 12/8 is not yet in the simplest form or in the lowest term. It is always suggested that if you are answering problems about fraction, you have to write your answer in lowest term if necessary or in simplest form. But when can we say that a fraction is in the simplest form or in the lowest term? Of course, a fraction is in lowest term or simplest form if the numerator and the denominator has a GCF of 1 or the numerator and the denominator are relatively prime. In this case, 12 and 8 is not yet in the simplest form, or 12/8 is not yet in the simplest form because there's still a number that could divide both 12 and 8. We could still simplify or express our fraction in the simplest form. How? By dividing the numerator and the denominator by their GCF. Now, 12 and 8 here are both divisible by 2. And at the same time, they are both divisible by 4. But 4 is the greatest number that could divide both of them. Therefore, they are not yet in the lowest term because their GCF is not yet 1. Hanggat hindi naging 1 ang GCF ng numerator at denominator, you are not yet in your final answer. So in this case, 12 and 8, pwede pa silang ma-divide sa 4. So 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3. And 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. In this case, try to look at 3 and 2. Their GCF now is 1. 1 na lang po yung GCF ng 3 at 2. Wala ka na pong pwedeng ma-divide pa sa kanila. So your answer is already in the lowest term. Another thing, this kind of fraction is improper fraction, wherein the numerator is greater than the denominator. Pag mas malaki po ang numerator kaysa denominator, so our fraction is an improper fraction. Pag improper po yung sagot natin, if possible, we really have to change it or to express it in mixed number. And how to express this in mixed number? Of course, divide mo lang po yung 3 tsaka 2. So yung 3 divided by 2. So how many 2 are there in 3? Of course, the answer is 1. So that is your whole number 1. Okay? Then 1 times 2 is 2. Then 3 minus 2, the answer is 1. So your answer is 1, which is your whole number. Then your remainder 1 will be your new numerator. And of course, your denominator, copy it 2. Therefore, your answer is 1 and 1/2. Again, if your answer is an improper fraction, if possible, express it to mixed number. And how to do that? Just divide the numerator by the denominator. Huwag po natin kalimutan na pag ang sagot natin is improper fraction, kung pwede lang po, change natin sa mixed number. At paano po natin gagawin yan? Divide lang po natin yung 3 by 2. Pareho na ginawa natin dito. Let us now proceed to item number 3. Of course, we have here a mixed fraction now. This is a mixed fraction or a mixed number because it is composed of whole number and a fraction. Like this one, whole number and a fraction. So in this case, we will have to add first the fraction part or the fraction here. So they have the same denominator. We are so lucky, pareho yung denominator. So you just copy the denominator. Then you add the numerator. So 9 plus 7, that is equal to 16. Then of course, you add also the whole numbers. You add whole numbers separately. So 8. Tsaka wala po tayong whole number dito, so understood na 0. So any number added to 0 is the same number 8. So that's 8 and 16 tenths. Now, if you will try to examine closely our fraction here that is 16 tenths, not relatively prime, meron pang pwedeng ma-divide sa 16 at saka sa 10. They are both divisible by 2, so that is not yet in the lowest term. Always remember, yung sagot po should be in the simplest form. So divide 16 by 2, that is equal to 8, and divide 10 by 2, which is equal to 5. Then you just copy the whole number. Remember, hindi po natin nilo-lowest term yung whole number. Just copy the whole number. Yung fraction lang po ang nilo-lowest term natin or in-express sa simplest form. In this case again, if you will try to examine, this is an improper fraction, wherein the numerator is greater than the denominator. So, kailangan po natin i-change to or i-express into simplest, or no, not simplest form, in mixed form. So, all we have to do is divide lang po natin yung 8 sa 5. So, ilang 5 po yung makukuha natin sa 8? That is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. If you will subtract, that is 3. So, this 8/5 is also equal to 1 and 3/5. 1 and 3/5. Now, we do have here the whole number 8. So, you just add 8 to the whole number 1 here in order for us to combine para po mag-group na natin sila. So, 8 plus 1 is equal to 9. Then, copy 3/5 po. Therefore, the answer for number 3 is 9 and 3/5. For item number 4, always remember once again, unahin po natin i-add yung mga fraction. So, they have the same denominator, similar fractions po sila. So, you just copy 8. Then, you add the numerator, 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. After that one, you add the whole numbers separately. So, 9 plus 4 is 13 plus 2, that is equal to 15. In this case po, yung 8/8 po, pwede nating this is an example of improper fraction also. Kasi, the same yung numerator, kasing laki lang po ng denominator ang numerator. So, if that's the case po, pwede nating i-change to or express into mixed number by dividing 8 by 8. 8 divided by 8, the answer is 1. Always remember po, if an improper fraction, they have the same numerator and denominator, that fraction is also equal to 1. So if this is equal to 1, so add po natin yung 15, so the final answer is 16 for item number 4. Because 15 plus 1 is equal to 16. Let's proceed to item number 5. Of course, they have the same denominators na 14. So just copy 14. Add the numerators 5 plus 7, that's 12, plus 3, that is equal to 15. The next thing that we have to do is add the whole numbers separately. 12 plus 10 plus 0, so that is equal to 22. Okay? So, in this case, yung fraction naman po natin is improper. So, we have to change it into, or we have to express it into a mixed number. Ilang 14 po yung makukuha natin sa 15? 15 divided by 14, that is equal to 1. Now, ilan po yung matitira pag kinuna natin ito ng 14? Of course, may matitira pa pong isa. Then, copy the denominator 14. Then, of course, you combine the whole number 22. So, our final answer is 23 because 22 plus 1 is 23 and 1 over 14. 23 and 1/14. To recap, our answers are 8 9ths for number 1, 1 and 1/2 for number 2, 9 and 3/5 for number 3, 16 for number 4, and 23 and 1/14 for number 5. Let us now proceed to subtracting of fractions here. Always remember that if we are subtracting fractions, we are also following the same rules to addition of fraction, which is we need to copy the common denominator and subtract the numerators. Now in this case, we have common denominator, so similar fractions po sila. So that would be easier to subtract because all we have to do is just copy the common denominator 4. But in this case, 1 could not be subtracted by 3. So what shall we do then? Because 1 is not enough to be subtracted by 3, I think this 1/4 needs to borrow from 12. So kailangan pong mag-borrow ng amount yung 1/4 sa 12 para po pwede natin i-subtract ang 3 sa kanya. 1/4 is not enough to be subtracted by 3/4. So in this case, ganito po yung mangyayari. Yung 12 and 1/4, this 1/4 should borrow from 12 ng 1. So all we have to do is to split 12 as 11 na lang po yung matitira kasi yung 1 is ibabaro po ni 1/4 para idadagdag sa kanya. So here's your 12 now. 11 plus 1 is your 12 and here's your 1/4. This one will be added to 1/4. Idadagdag po natin yung 1 sa 1/4 para mas lalaki ito at pwede na nating subtractan or kunan ng 3/4. So, in this case, yung 1 na to, pwede nating i-change sa 4/4. Di ba, pag sinabi natin 1 or a fraction na may pareho yung numerator at denominator is an improper fraction, and they have the same numerator and denominator, so that is equal to 1. So, 1 here, i-express po natin 4/4 para madali po natin i-add yan sa 1/4. Para pareho po silang denominator na 4, so copy the denominator 4. Then, you add the numerator 4 plus 1, that is equal to 5. So, yung 1 plus 1/4 po natin ngayon is now 5/4. Then, you copy the whole number 11, you will add it there, so that is 11 and 5/4. So, yung 12 and 1/4 is also equal to 11 and 5/4. Ginawa po natin ganyan so that we could subtract 3/4 from here because 1 is not enough to be subtracted by 3. So, ginawa natin 5/4 na we borrowed 1 from 12. So, that is now 11 and 5/4 minus 6 and 3/4. This time, 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. The next thing that we have to do, subtract the whole number 11 minus 6 is equal to 5. So, that's 5 and 2/4. But, if you are keen enough, 2/4 is not yet in the simplest form or in lowest term because both the numerators and denominator has a GCF of 2. So we could still express that in lowest term by dividing 2 and 4 by their GCF, which is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1, and 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Then you just copy the whole number 5. Remember na hindi po natin na-express in lowest term yung whole number. Just copy the whole number. Only the fraction. So our final answer is 5 and 1/2. Let's proceed to item number 2. In this case, we could not subtract 2/3 here from 8 because this is a fraction and this is a whole number. So what shall we do then? Of course, i-express naman po natin yung 8 into 7 plus 1. At yung 1 po dito, gagawin nating fraction na may parehong denominator sa 2/3. So yung denominator ng 2/3 is 3, so dapat 3 din yung gagawin nating denominator dito. So all we have to do is to make it 1, dapat pareho yung numerator tsaka yung denominator. So that means 7 and 3/3. Yung 3/3 is equal to 1. So 7 plus 1, that is equal to 8. So 7 and 3/3 is also equal to 8. So gagamitin natin ngayon 7 and 3/3 instead of 8 para masubtract natin sa 2/3. Inuuna kasi natin i-subtract yung fraction. So they have the same denominator now, 3. Then you subtract the numerator 3 minus 2, that is equal to 1. Then the whole number 7 will be subtracted by 0, so that's still 7. So the answer is 7 and 1/3. Let's proceed to item number 8. For item number 8, the same thing that we will have to do. So 12 here, we cannot subtract 2/5 from 12 because there is no fraction here. So we will make this 11. Then the 1 here will become 5/5. So 11 and 5/5 is also equal to 12. Then we will subtract 4 and 2/5. So we have now the same denominator, which is 5. Then numerator 5 minus 2, that is equal to 3. So 3/5. Then the whole number 11 minus 4, that is equal to 7. So our answer for number 8 is 7 and 3/5. Now for this one, we have here 150 and 3/5 minus 10 minus 129 and 4/5. Of course, we are flexible naman, so pwede na natin i-subtract yung 10 sa 150 para maging 140 and 3/5 na lang. Okay? Then, ang next natin i-subtract is 129 and 4/5. But in this case, once again, this 140 and 3/5, yung 3/5 po is not enough to be subtracted by 4/5. So, what shall we do? Of course, you really have to borrow once again. So, from 140 and 3/5 na naman, i-borrow natin or hihiram tayo ng 1 sa 140. So, magiging 139 na lang yan. Tapos yung 1, idadagdag natin sa 3/5. So, yung 1 na to, pwede natin gawing 5/5. And you will add it to 3/5 now. So, 139, just copy. So, that's 139 and 8/5. 139 and 8/5. Then we will subtract 129 and 4/5. Of course, 8 and 4. This is enough now to be subtracted by 4. Then you copy the denominator 5. So, 8 minus 4, that is equal to 4. Then 139 minus 129, that is equal to 10. Therefore, our final answer is 10 and 4/5. Let's now proceed to item number 5. That's 83 and 3/7 subtracted by 79 and 4/7. Remember that 3/7 is smaller than 4/7. So we could not subtract 4/7 from 3/7. So all we have to do this time is we will borrow once again. So for example, if we have here 83 and 3/7 subtracted by 79 and 4/7, so we will borrow 1 from 83 to be added to 3/7. Then what will be left here is 82. Then here, this 1 here could be changed to, could be expressed as 7/7, that's 1, plus 3/7, so that will give you 10/7. Then copy 82 as our whole number. So now we have 82 and 10/7 to be subtracted by 79 and 4/7. This one is enough now to be subtracted by 4/7. Just copy the common denominator 7. Then 10 minus 4, that is equal to 6. Then 82 minus 79, that is equal to 3. Therefore, the final answer is 3 and 6/7. I would like to recap our answers for 6 up to 10 review activity. That is 5 and 1/2, 7 and 1/3, 7 and 3/5, 10 and 4/5, and 3 and 6/7. Any question? Adding or subtracting similar fractions o yung fractions na pareho yung kanilang denominator is just very easy. All you have to do is copy their common denominators and add or subtract the numerators. However, let us also take note that our answer should always be expressed in simplest form or in lowest term. And how to do that? See to it that the GCF of the numerator and the denominator is 1. Kung meron pa po silang GCF or common factor na pwedeng i-divide yung numerator at denominator, you really have to divide them by that factor because you are expected to express your answer in the simplest form or in the lowest term. So, dapat yung numerator at denominator should have a GCF of 1 or they are relatively prime. In the case of subtraction, there are some cases na mas malaki pa yung subtrahend sa minuend. So, we could not subtract the subtrahend from the minuend. So, in that case, kailangan po nating mag-borrow or hihiram po tayo ng whole number or yung ng 1 sa whole number. Pagkatapos i-add po natin sa ating fraction ng minuend para pwede na po nating i-subtract si subtrahend. So, let us take note that in adding or subtracting fraction, we always have to look if our fractions are similar fractions. So, copy the common denominators and subtract or add the numerators. In this case here, we do have different denominators. Here, that's 3 and 1/2 and 2/5. If you will add them, we could not just simply add them like what we did a while ago. Because di po pareho yung kanilang denominators. They are dissimilar fractions. So all we have to do is, we really have to express these two fractions into similar fractions. And how to do that? Of course, we will have to look for the least common denominator or yung pinakamaliit na number, first number, kung saan magtatagpo si 2 tsaka si 5 if you will skip count by 2 and by 5. And of course, the smallest number where these two will meet, their LCM or their LCD now is 10. Nagiging LCD po si LCM pag ginamit natin yung number as denominator. So LCM now will turn to LCD. So the LCD of 2 and 5 is 10 because the LCM of 2 and 5 is 10. Then they are used as denominators here. So 10 is their LCD. Now, paano po natin makukuha yung numerator, ang bagong numerator natin dito? All we have to do is just divide the LCD by the original denominator 2, which is equal to 5. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Then multiply it by the numerator 1. So that is equal to 5. Same thing that you will do here. 10 divided by 5. So that is equal to 2. 10 divided by 5, that is equal to 2. Then multiply it by 2, so that is equal to 4. So, we could say now that 1/2 here is also equal to 5/10. And 2/5 here is also equivalent to 4/10. Then, the next thing that we have to do is just copy their whole number. If you notice, we already have here the same denominators. So, all we have to do is just copy the common denominator and add the numerators. Then, add whole fractions. So that is equal to 3 and 9/10. Let us now try to answer the following activity. This time, this is really a challenge for you because you will be adding dissimilar fractions. 43 and 1/2 plus 5/8. 13 and 3/10 plus 1/2. 3 and 1/2 plus 1/5. Up to number 5. Now, pause this video and answer your activity. Let us now answer your first activity in what's more. So here, in this case, we cannot just simply add them because they don't have the same denominator. Dissimilar fractions po sila, so hindi po natin sila ma-add directly. So, we will have to look for their LCD first. Saan magtatagpo si 2 and 8? What is the common factor or common multiple of 2 and 8? And that is 8. So, we have to look for their new numerator now. Sapagkat binago po natin yung denominator, so expect that the numerator will also change. So, 8 divided by 2, that is equal to 4, times 1, that is equal to 4. Then, copy 43 as whole number. In this case, hindi naman po natin binago yung 8. 8 is 8 pa rin. So, 8 divided by 8 times 5, of course, 5. This one, we already have the same denominator, which is 8. So, copy denominator 8. Then, add the numerator. 5 plus 4 is equal to 9. Then, add whole numbers. 43 plus 0, that's still 43. And of course, you really have to examine your fraction kung nasa lowest term na ba. The GCF of 9 and 8 is 1, so they are already in the lowest term, or expressed in the lowest term. But in this case, we have another thing to do because our fraction here is an improper fraction. So we really have to change or to express 9/8 improper fraction to mixed form. So ilang 8 po ba yung makukuha natin sa 9? So that is equal to 1. And of course, if we will subtract 8 from 9, there's always a remainder of 1. Then copy the denominator 8. So 9/8 is also equal to 1 and 1/8. 1 and 1/8, I mean. So, we will add that to 43 now. So, the correct answer is 44 and 1/8 is our final answer. Let's proceed to item number 2. We don't have the same denominator once again because the rule would suggest that you will only have to copy the common denominator. But in this case, we don't have a common denominator. So, kailangan po natin hanapin yung LCM ng 10 tsaka 2, and I think that's 10. So, their LCD now is 10. So, because hindi naman natin binago yung 10, so you just copy 10 and 13. In this case, 10 nagbago po yung 2 natin, nagiging 10. So, magbabago din po yung numerator natin. So, we have to look for the new numerator. So, 10 divided by 2, that is a 5, times 1, that is 5. So if you notice, pareho na po yung denominator natin. We have the same or similar fractions. So copy denominator 10, then add the numerator 5 plus 3, that is equal to 8. Then of course, the whole number next, that's 13 and 8/10. Always consider or always check your fraction. Is it in the lowest term? Not yet. Because 8 and 10 could still be divided by 2. So, 8 divided by 2, the answer is, that's equal to 4. And 10 divided by 2, that is 5. So that is 13 and 4/5 is our answer for item number 2. For item number 3 here, of course, they don't have the same denominator yet. So we cannot copy it yet. So, look for the common denominator which is 10. So, because nagbago po yung 2 naging 10 at yung 5 naging 10, expect that their numerators also magbabago din yan. So, 10 divided by 2, that is equal to 5 times 1, 5. 10 divided by 2, that is equal to, 10 divided by 5, that is 2. I'm too excited. Times 1, that is 2. So, after that one, copy the whole number. In this case, we already have the same denominator which is 10. So, pwede natin kopyahin. Pagkatapos 5 plus 2, that is 7. Then, the whole number 3 plus 0, that is 3. So, of course, you always have to check your fraction. Your fraction here is 7/10. That's already in the simplest form because there's no more number that could divide both 7 and 10 except for 1. Then, that's already our final answer. Let's proceed to item number 4. For item number 4 here, we have 4 and 1/3 and 3 and 2/5. Of course, they don't have the same denominator, so look for their LCD. So that is equal to 15. 15 is their LCD. 15 divided by 3, that is 5 times 1, that is 5. So 15 divided by 5, that is 3 times 2, that is equal to 6. Then copy their whole numbers. Then, you will add now. So, their common denominator is 15. Of course, 6 plus 5, that is 11. And add the whole number, which will give you 7. So, look at always your fraction. Be very careful with your fraction always. Yung fraction, we really have to check it. So, that's already in the simplest form. So, that's our final answer, 7 and 11/15. And finally here, for item number 5, I think we already have the same denominator. So, just copy the common denominator 5. Then add the numerators. 2 plus 3, that is 5. Mas madali lang po pag pareho yung denominator or they are similar fractions because you will just copy the common denominator. Pag hindi po kasi pareho yung denominator or they are dissimilar, you really have to find means paano po natin magiging pareho yung or ma-change sila into similar fractions. That's why, kailangan po natin kukunin yung LCD. So, in this case, 3 plus 1 now is equal to 4. Now, try to look at our fraction again. Our fraction is an improper with the same denominator and numerator. So, that fraction is equal to 1. If this is equal to 1, we will add it to 4. So, our final answer is 5. Let us now proceed to your next activity. This time, I'm giving you 5 items to do. Let us now answer your activity. So in this case, we have the same denominator 8. That would be easy. So copy the common denominator 8. Then add the numerator 4 plus 3, that is equal to 7. So 7/8 is the answer for item number 1. That's already in the simplest form or in lowest term. For number 2, we don't have common denominator here. So look for their common denominator. In this case, 3 and 9 will meet at number 9. That's their LCM. So 9 is the LCD. So 9 divided by 3, that is equal to 3, plus 2, that is equal to 6. In this case, 9 divided by 9 is 1 times 4, that's still 4. So we have here 6 plus 4 is equal to 10 and copy the denominator 9. This is already in the simplest form. However, this is an improper fraction, so we really have to change or to express improper fraction to mixed form. So, 10 divided by 9. So, if we have 10 and we will divide it by 9, ilang 9 po yung makukuha natin sa 10? So, that is equal to 1. So, that will be our whole number 1. Next, 1 times 9 is 9. If kukunan po natin ng 9 yung 10, ilan po yung matitira? 1. 1 is the remainder. So that will be our numerator. Then copy the denominator 9. So 1 and 1 ninths. That's the answer for item number 2. For item number 3, we don't have a common denominator. So look for the common denominator of 1/2 and 7 3/8, which is equal to 8. They will meet at 8. So 8 divided by 2, that is 4 times 1, that's 4. 8 divided by 8, that is 1 times 3, that's 3. Copy the whole number. Then after that one, you will add the numbers. So copy the common denominator 8, then add the numerators, so that is 7, then add the whole numbers, so that is also 7. This is already expressed in simplest form because there is no, the GCF of 7 and 8 is 1. Let's proceed to item number 4. That's just very easy because they have the same denominator, so just copy, then add the numerator, so that is equal to 11. This is already in the simplest form. And finally, they have the same denominators 25, then add the whole numbers, which is 6. Add the numerator 4 plus 2, which is 6, then add also the whole numbers 3 plus 2, that is equal to 5. So this is also in the simplest form. So our answers here for items number 1 up to 5. Did you get all the items correctly? I will leave to you activity number 3 on page 5 of your lesson 1 in module 8 as your independent activity. After you're done answering that, kindly open the answer key and check your work. Good luck! Let's now proceed to lesson number 2, that is page 8 of your module. This time, how do we add 4 and 8 twelves and 5 and 1/2? Of course, the same rules that we have to follow, that we will just copy the common denominators and add the numerators. In this case, we do have different denominators. They are dissimilar fractions. So, challenge naman po ulit. All we have to do is we have to express these two fractions into similar fractions. Now, saan number po or sa anong number po magtatagpo si 12 tsaka si 2? What is the LCM of 12 and 2? Exactly, that's 12. So therefore, their LCD is 12. Sapagkat hindi naman po nagbago si 12, so hindi rin magbabago si 8 as our numerator. Then of course, our denominator here changed from 2 to 12. So 12 divided by 2, that is equal to 6. Times 1, so 6. Then copy the whole numbers 4 and 5. The next thing that we have to do is, because we do have the same denominators 12, copy the common denominator 12. Then of course, add po natin yung numerators, which is equal to 14. Then the next thing is add also the whole numbers, which is equal to 9. Now, try to observe here. Our fraction here, the denominator and the numerator, they still have a common factor which is 2. Aside from 1, meron pa silang common factor na 2. So they're not yet in the lowest term or in the simplest form. So divide 14 by 2, which is equal to 7 now. And divide 12 by 2, which is equal to 6 now. Then, copy whole number. Observe our fraction once again. This is an improper fraction. And remember, improper fractions, pwede po nating express yan into mixed number. So, we will divide 7 by 6. Ilang 6 po yung makukuha natin sa 7? So, isa. So, that will be our whole number. Now, 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract, that is equal to 1. Yung natira pong 1, ilang 6 po meron sa 7 is 1. That will be our whole number. Yung natira po sa 7, pag binawasan ng 6, that will be our numerator. And of course, you have to copy the denominator 6. Kaya nga po 1 and 1, 6 is the value of 7, 6. Then after that one, copy the whole number 9 para makombine na po natin. So, final answer po is 10 and 1, 6. That's the sum of 4 and 8 twelves plus 5 and 1/2. Let us have now our activity, and what's more, you have 5 items to do. Now, pause this video and answer your activity. Let us now answer your activity. Of course, in this activity, it would be easy for number 1 because we have the same denominator which is equal to 8, so just copy 8. Then of course, add whole numbers, or add the numerators 3 plus 6, that is equal to 9. Then add whole numbers which is equal to 5. In this case, examine your fraction. Your fraction here is improper. So 9/8, how many 8s we can get from 9? So 9 divided by 8, so that is equal to 1. 1 times 8 is 8, subtract that is 1, so that is equal to 1 and 1/8. So this is also equal to 1 and 1/8. Then you will add 5 to it. So our final answer is equal to 6 and 1/8. That's the sum of 5 and 1 and 1/8, which is the value of 9/8. Same thing that we will have to do here. However, in this case, they don't have the same denominators. So look for their common denominators first. The common denominators, or the least common denominator of 8 and 4 is 8. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, times 3 is 6. Here, you just copy the common, you just copy 8, so you also copy 3. Then, you copy whole numbers. Because we have the same denominators this time, copy the common denominator, which is 8, then 3 plus 6, that is equal to 9. And of course, add whole numbers, 2 plus 1, that is equal to 3. Remember that 9/8, as we have solved here, that is also equal to 1 and 1/8, you will add it to 3. So the final answer is 4 and 1/8. Let's proceed to item number 3. Because they don't have the same denominator here, we will look for the LCD, which is 12. 12 divided by 4, that is equal to 3, times 3, that is equal to 9. 12 divided by 3, that is equal to 4, times 2, that is equal to 8. Then copy the whole number 1 and 6. So their common denominator now is 12. So 8 plus 9 is equal to 17. Now add the whole numbers 1 and 6, which is equal to 7. Remember that we always have to check our fraction. And this fraction is 17/12. This is improper. So 17 divided by 12. So that is equal to 1 and 5/12. This is 1 and 5/12 plus 7. So our final answer is 8 and 5/12. Let's proceed to item number 4 here. Allow me to erase this one first. Now, they don't have a common denominator, so look for the common denominator, which is 10. Now, 10 divided by 10 is 1 times 7, that is 7. 10 divided by 5 is 2 times 3, that is equal to 6. Then copy 1 and copy 2. In this case, you copy the common denominator 10, then you add the numerator, so that is equal to 13. So add also the whole number, which is 3. However, 13 tenths here is an improper fraction. So we could change it into 1 and 3 tenths. Because how many 10 are there in 13? That is equal to 1. Then the remainder is 3. Then copy 10. So if you will add them, the final answer will become 4 and 3 tenths. And finally, for the last item here, number 5, of course, look for your common denominator, which is 8. So 8 divided by 4 is 2 times 3, that is 6. You just copy 4 because you also copy 8 here. Copy 2 whole number, copy 1. They have the same denominator, which is 8. So you add the numerators, that will give you 10. So add also the whole number, that will give you 3. Now 10/8 could still be written in simplest form because both are divisible by 2. So that will give you 5/4. Then copy the whole number. But 5/4 here could still be expressed into mixed form because this is improper. So how many 4 are there in 5? So that is 1. Then what's the remainder if you will subtract 4 here? That's 1. Then copy the denominator 4. So that's 3. 3 plus 1, that is equal to 4, and 1/4. For our next activity, grade 5, you are to answer the activity number 2 in lesson 2, what's more. I'll leave to you this activity and I will go back to you for the answers later. Let us now answer your activity number 2. And how to do that? Of course, in this case, 2 halves is also equal to 1. So 1 plus 2, that is equal to 3. So this is equal to 3 plus 5 and 2/3. So you just add the whole numbers, so that is equal to 8, and copy 2/3. So the answer is 8 and 2/3. Again, I would like to repeat, because 2 halves is also equal to 1, you will add it to 2, so that will give you 3. Now, you just add the 2 whole numbers, 3 plus 5, that is equal to 8, then copy the fraction 2/3. For item number 2 here, they don't have the same denominators, so look for the LCD of 10 and 5, which is also equal to 10. Now, 10 divided by 10 times 5, that is equal to 5. 10 divided by 10, which is 2 times 3, that is equal to 6. Then copy the whole number 4, copy the whole number 2. So, we do have common denominator now, which is 10. Then add 5 and 6, which is equal to 11. Then add the whole number, which is equal to 6. Now, our fraction here is improper. And this is equal to 1 and 1/10. So, we will add it to 6. So, our final answer is 7 and 1/10. Let's proceed to item number 3. They don't have a common denominator also. So, look for their common denominator, which is equal to 6. So, 6 divided by 6 times 5. Okay, 6 divided by, copy 3. 6 divided by 3, that is 2 times 2, 4. Then copy 1. Then after that one, they have common denominator of 6. You add the numerator, which is 9. 5 plus 4 is 9. Then add the whole number, which is 4. Now, both the numerator and denominator, they are divisible by 3. So, that will give you 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. Copy 4. So 4 and 3 halves. Look at our fraction once again. That is improper. So change it into mixed form. The mixed form of this is 1 and 1/2. There's only 1, 2 we can get from 3. Isa lang pong 2 ang makukuha natin sa 3. There's a remainder lang po na 1. So copy 2 as denominator. Then add 4. So, the final answer is 5 and 1/2. Let's proceed to item number 4. In item number 4, of course, they don't have a common denominator pa rin. So, their common denominator is 20. Because that's the smallest number kung saan magtatagpo si 10 tsaka si 20. So, 20 divided by 10, that is 2 times 8, that is 16. Ito, copy lang kasi pareho lang naman. Okay, then 6. Then, after that one, copy the common denominator, and if you will add it, that's 23. So, add a whole number. Remember that this is improper, so you could change it into its mixed form, which is equal to, this is 1 and 3/20. Then you add 6, so the final answer is 7 and 3/20. Let's proceed to last item. Of course, yung common denominator po is 8. Now, 8 divided by 8 times 3 is 3. 8 divided by 4, that is 2 times 3, that is equal to 6. Copy 2 and copy 6. So, all we have to do is, common denominator is 8, then add that is equal to 9, then you will add that is equal to 8. Now, 9/8 here is also equal to 1 and 1/8 plus 8, which is the whole number, so that is 9 and 1/8 is our final answer. So any question with our activity number 2? Now I want you to look at your page 10 of your module 8, that's the lesson 2. Activity number 3 will be given to you as homework or something to do now. So you have to do it. After you're done, you could open the answer key and check your work.